don't even know what I was thinking when I grabbed this one. Hey, Michelle's Books, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would share some books that I have recently hauled. I think the last time I did a haul video was back in August. And since then, I have found a couple of gems at the dollar store. I have been to a library sale, one of those ones where you fill a bag for $1. I've actually come away with quite a lot of good stuff. I also want to give away, so I wanted to just share everything that I've acquired. So let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, I found this one. I don't even know what I was thinking when I grabbed this one. It is called Appointment in Samara by John O'Hara. I believe this one came from the library, the big library sale thing, and I just threw it in my bag. There's not a whole lot of information about this book. Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, but like this cover is very strange. I really think it's one of the ugliest covers. John O'Hara, 1905 to 1970, is one of the most prominent American writers of the 20th century, championed by Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Dorothy Parker. He wrote 17 novels, including Appointment in Samara, one of the great novels of small-town American life. Appointment in Samara is John O'Hara's crowning achievement. In December 1930, just before Christmas, the Gibbersville, Pennsylvania social circuit is electrified with parties and dances. At the center of the social elite stand Julian and Caroline English. But in one rash moment, born inside a highball glass, Julian breaks with polite society and begins a rapid descent towards self-destruction. Brimming with wealth and privilege, jealousy and infidelity, O'Hara's iconic first novel is a look at the dark side of the American dream. Ernest Hemingway's blurb for this book says, if you want to read a book by a man who knows exactly what he's writing about and has written it marvelously well, read Appointment in Samara. As ugly as it is, I really feel like there is a gem here. It's quite small as well. Oh my gosh, this book is a tank. I mean, it's not that big, but my God, this is the heaviest ream of paper ever. Yes Please by Amy Poehler. She is a very funny actress, a comedian. This book has kind of been on my radar, but I definitely would not have paid full price for it. I don't know if I like books by actresses, honestly. Read one on a chance and it started out pretty good, but I ended up DNFing it. I hope that this one does not disappoint like the Tina Fey book, which I'll be talking about in another video soon. This is kind of funny though. I just was flipping through it and it says, if it is not funny, you do not have to laugh. I don't know what to expect about this. Okay, this next one is an ARC I received, and I did not request this book. So sent to me unsolicited, or actually I think I had requested one book, but I never got it and I was looking for it. And then this came for me, and that has happened to me one other time. This book does sound good though. One to Watch by Kate Stamen London. Basically, it's about a plus size fashion blogger. Amazing friends, devoted family, Insta followers, massively broken heart. Like the rest of America, Bea indulges in her weekly obsession, the hit reality show Main Squeeze. Fantasy dates, kiss-off rejections, surprising number of guys named Chad. Just when she's sworn off dating altogether, she gets an intrigue call. Oh, I guess she's gonna be on this show. Oh shit. I don't know if I'm gonna be into this book. Camera starts rolling and she realizes things are more complicated than she anticipated. She's in a whirlwind of sumptuous couture. Internet culture wars, sexy suitors, and an opportunity or two or five to find messy real-life love in the midst of a made-for-TV fairy tale. 5% battery. Delicious and whip smart. Vibrant, tender, stylish, sexy, outrageously joyful. We will see. This one definitely came from the library sale. This is Snowflower and the Secret Fan. Look at this cover. It is beautiful. 19th century China. Wives and daughters were footbound and lived in almost total seclusion. The women in one remote Hunan County, developed their own secret code for communication, thereby reaching out of their isolation to share their hopes, dreams, and accomplishments. Through famine and rebellion, they reflect upon their arranged marriages, loneliness, and the joys of tragedies of motherhood. Especially since I am a parent, I want more stories about motherhood, because all of our children are different, our parenting styles are different, but there are certain things that remain the same. Certain feelings of raising your children and being exhausted by things or not having enough time or feeling like you can always do better. Certain feelings like that are just universal, and I really just like sharing that. My two best friends and I, like, we constantly like bounce off of each other, but I would love to read more books where those kinds of things are in the books. This is not obviously just about motherhood, but there's a lot of other things in here, and I'm just, where was I? Had to reconfigure here. Ghost Walk by Rebecca Stott. This sounds really interesting, and I picked it up because it was so dark academia. This is basically about a Cambridge historian who was found drowned. I guess what they were working on is something called Isaac Newton's alchemy, and there was like these mysterious deaths surrounding Newton's rise to fame. So there's potentially this whole conspiracy around whatever this person was studying. As Lydia Brooke, the fellow writer of this historian, begins to finish the work, she starts finding herself getting into some trouble. I'm very, very intrigued by this. I just feel like it says, hypnotic brew of speculation, intrigue, and murder. By the final chapter, Stott's elegant subtlety has been transmuted into a violent swirl of reversals and revelations that would defy Newton's calculus. Can't help but feel swept away. Let's hope that it's really good, because then I would actually have fresh, new literature to recommend for people who love dark academia. The next one I mostly just picked up based on blurbs, and I have a feeling that basically this is the ugliest fucking fucked up cover ever. The Girl with All the Gifts. And basically, there's not even a synopsis, except for every morning, Melanie waits for her in her cell to be collected for class. When they come for her, Sergeant Parks keeps a gun pointed at her while two of his people strap her into a wheelchair. She thinks that they don't like her, and she jokes that she won't bite, but they don't like. This is written by M.R. Carey, and some of the blurbs say, chilling and thrilling. My favorite blurb, because Joss Whedon, master writer of Buffy and Firefly, two of the greatest shows of all time, writes, heartfelt, painfully human. Also, he writes, so surprising, so warm, and yet so chilling, as fresh as it is terrifying. Marie Claire is tense and fast-paced with a heartwarming tenderness. Kazuo Ishiguro meets The Walking Dead. Now, I've never read Ishiguro, but I do know The Walking Dead, so that's interesting. Where the monsters can't keep your secrets, where the monsters can't find them. The Girl with All the Gifts. That's all I got on this book, but since Joss Whedon wrote a blurb, so we'll see what that one's all about. Alright, the next one is just a book by Alice Hoffman called The Story Sisters. Honestly, I just really liked her writing when I read Practical Magic, and I guess I'm just interested in what other kinds of things she can write. The Story Sisters charts the lives of three sisters. Each has a fate that she must meet alone. On a country road, one in the streets of Paris and one in the corridors of her own imagination. How does she save one daughter without sacrificing the others? How deep can love go, and how far can it take you? This next one there's no explanation for, except, yay, I have another Spanish edition of a book that I own, The Goldfinch, but in Spanish. I might as well go ahead and attempt to say this. J-I-L, Gil Juero. El Gil Juero? Yeah. When I start committing more time to learning Spanish, having books in Spanish will really help. Now, these are definitely more advanced than my level of Spanish, but one day, I promise myself, I will be there and I will be able to read this book in Spanish. One day. The next one is The Angel and the Jabberwocky Murders. Honestly, I was just so intrigued by this cover. It was so cute. This was definitely one of those library sales, threw it in the bag for $1. And it's a little small cozy mystery. But I just love the artwork of this cover. It's just so cute. So, takes place in South Carolina. Local college is kind of a safe place where students don't need to even lock their doors. At least it used to be, until girls start mysteriously disappearing. And what is the meaning of Jabberwocky? Clues that keep turning up around campus. What first intrigued me about this was basically the cover and Jabberwocky, because Jabberwocky is obviously an Alice in Wonderland reference. So I don't know how that fits in with a murder mystery, but I guess we'll find out. Also, South Carolina, hoping for like a southern cozy mystery. Yeah. The Boy Who Loved Anne Frank. Now, I know there's another book. I know it's not called this book. It's not this one that I'm thinking of. But there's another one basically is the story of the boy that Anne Frank lived with up in the attic. So I was really interested in reading that. However, I did find this. Anne Frank recorded her diary that Peter, whom she at first disliked and eventually came to love, had confided in her that if he got out alive, he would reinvent himself entirely. This novel is a story of what might have happened if the boy in hiding had survived to become a man. Peter arrives in America, the land of self-creation. Successful in business, rich in love, Peter looks for all the world like a new man. And by his own choice, just to be safe, he passes as a Christian. In the boom years of 1950s America, he thrives in the present, plans for the future, and has no past. But there is a cost to his charade, and paralyzing memories of his experiences in the annex in Amsterdam are triggered when the diary of a young girl is published to worldwide acclaim. It is his story, too, and once the floodgate of memory is open, his life spirals out of control. What? I'm like getting emotional just reading, like imagining what that would feel like if this were real. I'm blown away. I cannot wait for this book. Another kind of retelling is called Lydia Bennett's Story, Continuing Adventures of Miss Darcy's Youngest Sister, a sequel to Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I have quite a few Pride and Prejudice retellings. I swear I'm gonna have to do a whole reading vlog on all of them. Mr. Rochester, which isn't a Jane Eyre. But yeah, I could not decide if I had hauled these books for you guys or not. I did it in an October vlog, but I'm not uploading that vlog. I'm scrapping it, so it's gone. But it was throwing me, because it was like, I know I hauled these, I know I shared these, but I never actually shared it. I never actually published that video. So anyways, Furiously Happy by Jenny Jenny Lawson's Furiously Happy. I'm so excited to have a copy of this book, and it was $7. Okay, that's okay though. Basically, Jenny Lawson is a blogger. She has a blog called The Bloggess. I actually don't follow her blog, but she also wrote the autobiography. Oh, it's got to be written in here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Let's Pretend This Never Happened. So her other book, Let's Pretend This Never Happened, is a book that honestly I don't talk about enough. That book was so funny. It was also deep and touching, but like rolling on the floor, laughing, hilarious. I'm just really excited to have another one of her books called Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things. My son actually thought this was probably a children's book because this is just adorable. Lifelong battle with mental illness, hysterical, ridiculous book about crippling depression and anxiety. That sounds like a terrible idea, but terrible ideas are what Jenny does best. Most of my favorite people are dangerously fucked up. Furiously Happy is a book about embracing everything that makes us who we are, and the beautiful and the flawed, and then using it to find joy in fantastic and outrageous ways. Because as Jenny Lawson's mom says, maybe crazy isn't so bad after all. Sometimes crazy is just right. Some of the blurbs on the back. Jenny made me laugh so hard I feared for my safety. I think that's how she was able to get past my defenses and make me feel more okay about myself. Tell me that is not like the best. Next up is another book. I snatched this up because this cover is to die for. Basically these are olives, I want to say. These 7 or 8 deaths of Stella Fortuna. And what a beautiful inside cover. Sweeping family saga that follows 100 years of family secrets from Italy to America. For Stella Fortuna, death has always been a part of life. Stella's childhood is full of strange, life-threatening incidents, moments when ordinary situations like cooking eggplant or feeding the pigs inexplicably take lethal turns. Even Stella's own mother is convinced that her daughter is cursed or haunted. In her rugged Italian village, Stella is considered an oddity. Beautiful and smart, insolent and cold, Stella uses her peculiar toughness to protect her slower, plainer baby sister Tina from life's harshest realities. But she also provokes the ire of her father, Antonio, a man who demands subservience from women, and whose greatest gift to his family is his absence. When the Fortunas emigrate to America on the cusp of World War II, Stella and Tina must come of age side by side in a hostile new world with strict expectations for each of them. Soon Stella learns that her survival is worthless without the one thing her family will deny her at any cost, her independence. In present-day Connecticut, one family member tells this heart-rending story, determined to understand the persisting rift between the now elderly Stella and Tina. Richly told debut, 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna is a tale of family transgressions as ancient and twisted as the olive branch that could heal them. That just sounds like such an amazing story. Part of my heritage is Italian, and I don't know, I'm just always drawn to stories that take place in Italy, culture, things like that. Next up, another book with a beautiful cover. I found this book for $3 at Family Dollar. I was just shocked. The Revolution of Marina M. by Janet Fitch. Best-selling author of White Oleander and Paint It Black. I've seen the movie White Oleander. I own the book. I haven't read the book. But such a good story. St. Petersburg, New Year's Eve, 1916. Marina Makarova, Russian names, difficult to pronounce, is a young woman of privilege who break free of the constraints of her genteel life, a life about to be upended by the vast forces of history, swept up on these tides of great change. Marina will join the marches for workers' rights, fall in love with the radical young poet, and betray everything she holds dear before being betrayed in turn. As her country goes through almost unimaginable upheaval, Marina's own coming of age unfolds. This book will take you deep inside the Russian Revolution and lets us witness it through a pair of remarkable eyes. Marina is a female Zhivago, a poet who uses her intelligence, her passion, and her love of language to interpret and survive the political turmoil around her. Just sounds so good. It is a big book. I don't know why. I got it and I'm super excited about it, but it's a little intimidating. The Mermaid and Miss Hancock by Imogen Herms Gowar. I don't know how to say that name. But just look at the beauty of this cover. Oh, it's so beautiful. I hate to just keep reading all of these to you instead of just like telling you what they're kind of supposed to be about. It takes place in 1785. Beyond the docks of London, Jonah Hancock hears the urgent knocking on his front door, and the captain of one of Jonah's trading vessels is waiting anxiously in front of the step bearing shocking news. On a voyage of the Far East, he sold Jonah's ship for something rare and far more precious, a mermaid. Spellbinding novel of a merchant, a mermaid, and a madam. Next, I got a copy of Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I've been wanting to read this book for so long, and I actually have a copy of this already, but it's a mass market paperback. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. And I am really just falling in love with these versions of classics with these bright, beautiful covers. I also like the plain black ones too, but there's just something about the illustrations on these versions. They're just so pretty. So basically this is a under the sea faring adventure, and they are in search for a narwhal. And I just thought I would really get along well with this book because I loved Moby Dick so much. Next, I have White Fur by this author. I cannot read this name. Stunning star-crossed love story against the glitz and grit of 1980s New York City. This is said to be like a Romeo and Juliet, where this girl, Elise, meets Jamie. And they are next-door neighbors in New Haven, but they come from vastly different worlds. One of them is well off and the other one is not, and they run off and explore New York, Winter Haven, New Haven. Jamie is a junior at Yale, an heir to the private investment bank fortune. The couple moves to Manhattan in search of a new life. White Fur follows them as they wander through Newport Mansion's East Village dives, Wasp establishment, yacht clubs, and grimy blocks below the Canal Street. Fighting the forces determined to keep them apart, White Fur combines the electricity of Less Than Zero with the timeless intensity of Romeo and Juliet in the searing, gorgeously written novel that perfectly captures the ferocity of young love. Who doesn't love that? So, also not super long book. I found this copy of The Little Prince, and while it is an ugly ass cover, this is actually 3 books in one. Trilogy comprising of Wind, Sand, and Stars, Night Flight, and Flight to Eris. I do have a copy of The Little Prince, but it is quite a beat up copy, and I really liked this one, and it's got 2 other books in it. Next up is Night Music by Jojo Moyes, and this is about this woman's husband dies and leaves her alone to raise their 2 children, and it's all about her, I guess, getting over her grief and figuring out how to be a single parent. And that's just terrifying to me. Like if something were to happen to my husband, like, oh my gosh, it's just, I cannot even imagine life. But at the same time, it's kind of like it could happen to any of us. And so one of the main reasons I picked up this book too is just because I really wanted to read from Jojo Moyes, but I was so not interested in that book that like became a movie. That book was just so heartbreaking. I could not put myself through reading that book. And also, I don't know how they could write a whole series on that story. I just was no interest in reading that, but I did want to read from Jojo Moyes because I've heard that her style of writing is really beautiful. And Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. I fell in love with the concept of the movie. The movie was really good. You can tell that the movie is very rushed, and I would really love more information about some of these machines, and like, I loved Mortal Engines so much. So ever since seeing that movie, I really wanted to read the book, and I found a copy very cheap at my used bookstore that I like to go to. So I was so excited to find this book. It is quite a small book though. Like, I hope that it is, however, this is also the first in a series about Mortal Engines. So this is if you haven't seen the movie or don't know about this is basically steampunk futuristic society. Well, at least based on the movie. These whole cities are built on like these giant moving machines. Like they're giant trucks that hold whole cities on them. And then you have one city that's called like London, and literally these cities will find smaller cities and eat them and use their parts to keep their city going. And they need fuel and they need parts and they need all these things. So, and our main character is this Hester Shaw girl, and she's got like this whole history with her dad, and she was raised by this creature. Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. Next up, I found this. I am so excited to have found a copy of this. This is a book that's on my definitely want to read list. It is called Night Film by Marissa Pessel. I have heard a lot of people talk about this book since it started, like for a couple of years. I've known about this book for like 3 years, and I've been dying to read it. And I actually found this beautiful hard copy at my dollar store. I could not freaking believe it, so of course I snatched this baby up. What is it even about? There is so much more to this book. I completely forgot about this. Okay, this Ashley girl is found dead in an abandoned warehouse in Lower Manhattan. Her death is ruled a suicide, but a journalist suspects otherwise. So he starts investigating her murder, or he starts investigating her death, which he believes there was more to it. Her father is this legendary reclusive cult horror film director, and he has not been seen in public for more than 30 years. There's another death connected to the seemingly cursed family dynasty. It seems more than just a little bit of coincidence. So it's basically just this like insane thriller based around this guy who is a cult horror film director. So, and finally, I have to share 2 books that I got because I am a giveaway winner to the Because We Can readathon, and here is what I ended up getting with my prize. So we got Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and then we got The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Since I have started getting into my love of dark academia books, I have one of the most well-known in the genre, and I'm super excited. I do plan on reading this next month, so I'm so excited. Compelling, elegant, dramatic, and playful. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at the elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, their lives are changed profoundly and forever. Takes my breath away and is so accomplished by Ruth Rendell. So that really does not divulge a whole lot about what this book is about. I'm so excited to read this book. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I loved Erin Morgenstern's other book, The Night Circus. So one of these days I really have to do a reread of that book because it was just so beautiful, just epic love story. I'm so in love. So I'm very excited about The Starless Sea and this cover. So beautiful. Okay, so this guy, Zachary, finds a library book that has details from his own life. And then I guess he finds himself on this insane journey and he has to go, he's going through like a masquerade and through this labyrinth and he has to find the answer to his own story. So, yes, I'm super excited. Erin Morgenstern was my first introduction into, what is it called? Magical realism. And so we've got another very interesting magical realism book here. So I am just so stoked. Again, thank you guys so much from the Because We Can Readathon. And that's that. That wraps up this giant book haul of the past 3 months. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you later. Bye.